confidence is there. Hope is back for Nigeria.
Nigeria is on the verge of clocking 64. What a journey so far as the giant of Africa strives to maintain its status and even to get greater. Hello again. Good to be back on Executive Recap, the program highlighting the weekly activities from the highest executive office in the country. Thanks for staying with us. The Federal Executive Council, FEC, has approved the constitution of a committee to pioneer the takeoff of the National Relief Fund aimed at catering for victims of disasters in the country. That came as one of the decisions taken at the Council's meeting in the outgone week. Council members are back for the first meeting in 2 months. Apparently, memos are piled up for consideration. And armed with first-hand information from his sympathy visit to Maiduguri, President Bola Tinubu was poised for immediate action as the council deliberated on the causes of the Maiduguri flood disaster vis-a-vis the response efforts of the government ministries and agencies.
Gentlemen of the press.
At the briefing anchored by the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security reported on the effort through his ministry, including the release of grains from the National Reserve.
After Mr. President's visit, he also approved the immediate release from the National Strategic Reserve of 100 trailers of rice, 50 trailers of maize, 30 trailers of sorghum and 20 trailers of millet. And that's in the process of delivery. Half of it has already been delivered and the delivery is ongoing.
Learning from the experience of the past, the Council was to prepare for the future as it approved the constitution of a committee for the National Disaster Relief Fund announced by the President in Maiduguri, while a technical committee has also been set up for the reassessment of integrity of dams in the country.
To look into not only the Allow Dam, but other dams in the country, to reassess them and come up with recommendations that will solve the challenge of flooding and also putting into use the available dams we have.
Ministry of Works got approvals for various roads construction and rehabilitation projects across the country, including Section 2 of the Sokoto-Badagry Superhighway and a section of the Abuja-Kaduna Road.
And that is 82 kilometers by 2, and it's to be done with asphalt that they have been working with. And the third section is Buat, which is just 17 kilometers to be done on concrete. And so today, FEC approved that of Jolobeja because the other two were not before FEC. And so for a total contract sum of 740 billion.
Similarly, the FCT administration secured council's approvals to improve infrastructures across its satellite towns, which include roads construction in Kwale, Gwagwalada and Buari area councils.
It has been Mr. President's renewable agenda that we should also take development to the satellite towns. As I speak to you today, I know before December we'll be able to commission not less than 75 kilometers of roads. But Mr. President had also said we must continue to give hope and give infrastructure to satellite towns.
Finance Minister also briefed on the objectives of the Executive Economic Stabilization Bill to be sent to the National Assembly.
It contains, for example, items that change the Foreign Exchange Act, give greater liquidity and encourage the use of electronic rather than cash means, for example. And of course, giving the central bank even greater ability to bring in and attract funds such as the money from the international money transfer organizations.
Therein is also a
others.
proposal to amend the
in the
Companies
interest of our
Income
country.
Tax
Thank you for your
Act
attention.
to allow Nigerians with the skills and relevant relationships to provide services to foreign companies while they live in Nigeria. Meanwhile, the Federal Executive Council has commended the people of Edo State over the just concluded governorship election, adjudged as free and fair. Through the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, the Council also lauded the President for his leadership, resulting in victory for the All Progressives Congress, APC, in the state.
A huge victory which had eluded the APC for over 8 years. The elections have been adjudged to be free and fair, and that is what Mr. President has always stood for. I want to thank you, Mr. President, for being committed to the electoral process and the ethos of democracy.
And the Ministry of Information and National Orientation is set to begin a nationwide program to revitalize the core national values of the country that are currently facing decadence. This follows approvals just granted to the ministry by the Federal Executive Council. Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, who announced the approvals after the meeting of the council, says it will enable the ministry and its agencies to begin measures to strengthen the core national values across the primary and secondary schools, institution of national value charter, as well as the standardization of the national symbols.
The National Citizens Values Brigade will be established, not just in primary schools, in secondary schools, across this country. Now, this will also help to create the ambassadors of Nigerian values that this country seeks to have. Again, there was an approval of the inclusion of the National Values Charter and the national symbols to be made mandatory, not just in our curriculum, in the teaching of civic education, but also among appointees of government. For example, at every retreat, at the inception of every administration, members, for example, of the Federal Executive Council will have some form of workshop or training on what our national values are, so that this can be further be inculcated. And not only that, also the standardization of our national symbols, the national flag, the national anthem, the Naira notes, the Constitution, and all those things that make what we call our national symbols. We must standardize them. Council has approved that the National Orientation Agency will take charge of that. The way we see our flags being hosted in some indiscriminate manner will be standardized.
And President Bola Tinubu has implored the government-elect of Edo State, Monday Okpeholo, to hit the ground running upon inauguration to deliver the benefits of democracy to the people of the state. The president gave the advice as he received the governor-elect at the State House. APC National Chairman Abdullahi Ganduje and the Chairman, Nigeria Governors Forum, Governor Abdurrahman Abdurrazak of Kwara State, led the governor-elect here. It is simply the winning team of the Edo election. In addition to the election victory and the certification by the electoral body, members of the team got presidential handshakes for delivering the heartbeat of the nation back to the progressives in the September 21 election. The governor-elect and the deputy started as opponents in the party primaries and now ending up as partners. President Bola Tinubu describes these as a symbol of good understanding as he advises the incoming governor to imbibe the progressive spirit as he sets out for his dispensation.
So, governor-elect, so you can face the task of development. We are here to work with you. Thank you for giving us the joy of this victory. It is. You work hard. You earn the victory. Democracy is difficult, particularly in the emerging economy like ours. If you hear complaints from America and other places, you know how difficult it is to navigate, a democracy. But it's the best form of government.
President Tinubu commended the key players in the electoral process, including INEC and security agencies, for delivering a peaceful election and the electorate for their good conduct.
There was no bloodshed. There was no riot. People voted and went back to their houses in peace, and the fear dissipated instantly. I congratulate all of you. I do. You brought joy to many of us and to the whole country, Nigeria. It is watching keenly our democratic path and growth.
Your Excellency, we thank you. Our next target is the Ondo election. We have a template, democratic template. And early next year, Your Excellency, we're heading to Anambra State.
Monday, Okpeholo looking his days ahead and promises people of Edo State good governance.
I think Edo people have spoken with their vote. For me, I'm coming as a servant to serve the Edo people. That is what is required of me, and that is what exactly I'm going to do. So very soon, you will see a lot of development coming up in Edo.
My joy is the fact that Edo people will now have a governor that they can hug, they can touch, they can feel, and a governor that will open the doors.
The governor-elect is due for inauguration on November 12, 2024. President Bola Tinubu has directed his ministers to embark on propagation of the activities of the administration, including the policies and programs aimed at transforming the country for the good of all. The presidential media team revealed this at the maiden periodic media briefing at the State House. The Tinubu administration is over 15 months into its mandate. The 8-point renewed hope agenda of the government are gradually being translated from paper to reality. Campaign promises such as the student loan scheme, compressed natural gas CNG initiative are equally manifesting. But the administration is of the view that not so many Nigerians know about its transformative policies and programs already in the works. President Bola Tinubu is certainly not satisfied that not so much is heard about the effort of his administration, hence a marching order to the ministers to embark on a vigorous publicity going forward.
Some people feel the government is not doing anything, and government has been doing a lot, and he believes that it is up to them to go out there and blow their trumpets. They should not even wait for people to blow it for them. They should go out and talk about what their ministries have been doing.
The presidential advisor also enumerated some imminent executive bills coming to reform some critical aspects of the economy. These include the National Identity Management Commission's Amendment Bill, which seeks the inclusion of foreigners on its system.
If the National Assembly passes that bill, it provides that everybody living in Nigeria, foreigners, all of them will now be registered and be given NIN, especially once you are doing some work here and you are earning income, you will be registered and be given NIN so that you can be taxed. Your NIN will give you the kind of tax identity, and you can also be taxed. You come under our tax structure.
The government is also aiming to lay emphasis on the national currency as against dollarization of the nation's economy. This is to be done with some adjustments to the operating laws of NIMASA and the Nigeria Port Authority.
That all their fees, charges, levies, fines, and other monies accruing to them and payable to those agencies may now be paid in Naira at the applicable exchange rate. I think those agencies only were charging in dollars, but now they can always now collect it in Naira.
At this stage, may I ask if you have enough funding to disburse to the students who had applied?
For those wondering how the government intends to fund the student loan scheme, the presidential media team says that would be addressed with an amendment to the TED Fund Act.
30% of whatever TED Fund gets from the Federation account will now be passed on to NEL Fund. So that will provide a ready-made source of funding to NEL Fund.
The government is actually quite positive and happy that a lot of its programs are achieving desired results, especially in some sectors. For instance, agriculture expanded by 3.2%. We're seeing more enhanced local production. We're seeing a lot more exports. The same things with the telecommunications industry, which has expanded by about 9.1% because of new investments in both digital infrastructure. For instance, they're laying fiber optics across the country, and also, investments in new areas in technology. In addition, FDIs continue to rise. The foreign reserves are also rising.
Right now we have the Honorable Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, with us to talk to us about some new developments coming from the executive. Thank you so much, Honorable Minister. The President has just given a new directive regarding more publicity about his activities or activities of the government, giving directives to the ministers who go all out there. How did you receive this directive?
Well, it was at the end of the last Federal Executive Council meeting. He implored all ministers, members of cabinet, to go out there, including the chief executives of government agencies, to talk about what government is doing. His thinking is that there's a need for deeper policy articulation on the part of ministers and heads of agencies about what government is doing. So much has happened in the last 1.5 years, thereabout, and he thinks that Nigerians deserve to know more, and therefore that directive was given. It's not just for those in the Ministry of Information or those who are charged with the responsibility of speaking on behalf of government. It is also for those who are doing these policies, who are designing these policies, to articulate them very well so that Nigerians can understand.
And now, like you know, this will definitely fall under your purview as a Minister of Information to coordinate your colleagues to carry out this task of improving on the engagement with Nigerians by the way of giving information out. So how do you intend to coordinate that?
Well, it's actually not new. Recall that the Ministry of Information has always had what we call the ministerial press briefings regularly, where we call ministers and their heads of agencies to come to the ministry and have all members of Nigerian media there talk to them and give them the opportunity to scrutinize government activities, to interrogate them about what they think government is doing or not doing. And on the side of government officials, they articulate what they do so that Nigerians will understand. It's not really very new. It's just that the President is asking us to deepen that so that Nigeria can have the benefit of the knowledge of some of these activities and programs of government. We intend to schedule these ministers have them as directed by the president, to have them to come out. Many of them actually are already doing that in their own way. But I think we need to better coordinate that at the Ministry of Information and National Orientation, where they will come to the National Press Center and talk to Nigerians, and Nigerians will have the opportunity to interrogate also what they do. So like I said, it's not new. It's something that we are doing. We are only going to strengthen it and elaborate further on that.
Right. The impression out there has been that the government is not doing enough, which the president himself has observed, and now we need to up this engagement like the president said it. So what should Nigerians expect from these new developments?
I think the government is doing quite a lot, and many of these activities have actually been put out. But I think there's a need for us to say it again and again, to articulate it further. It's not as if what they are going to say is actually entirely new. It's what Nigerians have already known. But like a preacher, when you come to the pulpit or you come to the mosque, what you're likely to say may not necessarily be new. But when you repeat it and remind people about that, people will be reminded and key in. So we need to talk about it over and over and over again, so that Nigerians will understand, and then we give Nigerians also the opportunity to scrutinize, to interrogate, to look at, to question the affairs of government. It is their responsibility to know, it is their right to know what government is doing. It is also the responsibility of government at all levels to ventilate whatever they do to the public, so that they will also know what they are doing. So it's a two-way thing. I think this gives us an additional opportunity, if you like, to really articulate some of these activities and programs of government that the president has embarked upon since May of 2023.
Honorable Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, we really appreciate your time.
My pleasure.
President Bola Tinubu was among the congregation at the National Mosque Abuja for a special Juma prayer to commemorate Nigeria's 64th independence anniversary. Former head of state General Abdulsalami Abubakar, chairman of the Nigeria Governors Forum, and Kwara State Governor Abdurrahman Abdulrazak, National Assembly members and ministers were also in attendance. In the translation of a sermon, Imam Muhammad Kabir Adam acknowledged the diversity amongst Nigerians as designed by God. He harped on the necessity for good conduct amongst the citizens while urging Nigerians to remain united and work toward actualization of a greater country. And after the two standing salats, there was a special prayer for the continuous unity, peace and development of the country, as well as for God's guidance, strength and wisdom for President Bola Tinubu as he continues to lead the country. And now, just so you know, the president is scheduled to speak to Nigerians on October 1st as part of the activities lined up to commemorate the 64th independence anniversary of our dear nation. Join us on the network service of the NTA for that broadcast. And that has been the show for this week. Thanks a lot for being part of it. Another one will come your way next week. See you again.